Good morning and welcome to the Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening course. We depend for our health on the Medicare, and we are always anticipating new research. But many a times, the new research debunks and destroys the old ideas, old thoughts, old ways of treatment. And we find that why is it that the medical science were pursuing those methods? Appendixes are one of the major issues afflicting mankind, and people have been undergoing surgery for more than a century. This tiny inflamed organ from the people's gut was ordinarily removed every time the pain was there and the inflammation of the appendix was there. And many times they would just remove it, saying it's of no use at all. Now there are doubts about both the hypotheses. A, there's not useful at all, it's not at all necessary. Well, that is still a matter of discussion, but nearly two-thirds of the patients do not need surgery. That has been proved, and Finland has proved it in the Journal of Medical Association. Finland says that they have conducted research for the last 5 years, and they found that two-thirds of the patients never needed surgery. And as a matter of fact, a simple course of antibiotics was sufficient to treat the patient. Despite upending a long-term standard care for appendix, it is surprising that the doctors never thought that's not required. They never thought that inflammation can be treated by an ordinary course of antibiotics rather than sending the patient under the knife. And we are left dangling with a question that now, as a result of this research, can we always absolutely depend on the Medicare or not? According to the new study, and it's a 5 years follow-up, they say that antibiotic can cure absolutely, and there's never a chance of a relapse. And even if it's there, as it is in many diseases, another course of antibiotics after a few years can be required and be administered. These findings very clearly suggest the patients could be spared the risk of surgical procedure, which involves infection of its own kind. And not only that, it might also be able to save money by not reading such invasive procedure. So this is something which gives hope to the appendix patients that they need not be admitted to the hospitals. They need not go to the operation theater. They need not be worried about the aftercare as well as a result of surgical intervention. And just a simple course of antibiotics is sufficient. And then paralysis is one of the major issues. And the first attack always in paralysis is that the patient cannot speak. And when he cannot speak, suppose he's illiterate, he can't even write. How do you communicate? Communication is the most important need. And at Princeton Institute of Medical Research and at Columbia University now, the researchers have come up and they have developed a brain-computer interface that can convert thoughts into speech, thereby enabling even the paralyzed people to speak. And how do they do it? They monitor signals produced by the brain while listening to the words and phrases, and then they create a kind of a brain to speech translation dictionary. And this can be used to interpret and vocalize the brain signals of those people who are unable to speak, either because of illness or because of injury. Now, this is a great watershed. As a matter of both, one saves the patient from the knife, and the other enables the people to speak. And then, human body is a really amazing organism. And now the latest is that our gut, the human gut, contains a sort of a microbe. There are hundreds of microbes, but some of the microbes are such that they influence our health in pretty profound way. And now the researchers at University of California, Berkeley, have found that there are some species in our gut, which can generate electricity. Now, electric bacteria have been known for quite a while, but it was never thought that there could be electric bacteria in our bodies as well. Normally, these lightning bugs reside in lakes, soils, near hydrothermic vents, and particularly in acidic environments. They are also used, these electric bacteria, when you make yogurt at home, when you ferment cheese, or you make wine at home, you are using these electric bacteria. You use them to purify water, and we use them to make batteries. But we never thought that in our bodies they use it, and these bacteria, these bugs, interact with other bugs, either as pathogenics or as probiotics, and they help us either grow better or grow sicker. Now, the treatment of these bugs, or rather these bugs now would be manipulated by the surgeons and the doctors to ensure that the guts remain healthy. They can infect us, or they can help us have a healthy gut. And if the gut is healthy, 90% of the diseases are gone. And because our digestion system, our gut system is the prime one on which a lot of things depend. So, the medical science has taken another giant step forward. Let's see how further they go down. And now, nature always is there, which gives us new knowledge, new information. And as I said earlier once, that most of our research is based on our observation of science of nature. Do you know that we are attracted as kids to the fireflies, those bugs, which emit light? We call them glowworms, we call them fireflies. But people have been thinking that these fireflies are emitting signals for sex. Not really so. As a matter of fact, there's much more to that. Now, it has been seen when the flies were emitting light, the scientists in Boise State University put these glowworms and bats in front of high-speed cameras. And then, it was seen that the glow acted like a flashing bad gel preview. It is, in fact, telling bats that they taste awful. It's a defense mechanism in the fireflies that protects them from the bats. It has never been seen before that lightning bag bugs would use their light, their flipping on and off signals, not to attract, but to repel. So what scientists did was, they hand-painted fireflies, bellies black, essentially turning off their light, avoiding the other creatures. And when the bats saw familiar but unfamiliar lit up fireflies, they swooped in and marched on them, only to get a bad taste in the mouth. So they shake their head, salivate, and spit them out. And then it was observed that basically the bats avoid glowing fireflies because they are warned that these are not to be eaten. They taste awful. So this defense mechanism developed for the fireflies by the nature. Now the scientists are thinking, can we use it as a defense mechanism for the human beings, that the bacteria is scared away by some such action? Can that manipulation be done? Can that interpolation be done? Now that's a second step for the research. And now, in this segment, are you aware? They say diamonds are forever, and every girl's dream is to have diamond. And the zircons are replacing diamond because they are much cheaper. These crystalline time capsules are in fact clues to the origin of life. And what they give us information how the earth looked like 4 billion years back. Now zircon have been seen, and after testing, giving them the carbon testing, it has been found that the zircons have been there for 4 billion odd years. This was much before the human beings carved the wonders of the stone or between the trees and cut the trees to find the age of the trees. And now the tectonic plates of the earth created these zircons 4.4 billion years back. So they are the tiny time capsules that still have the chemical fingerprints of the extremely early times. And as a matter of fact, the University of Rochester has done this research, and they say they are our only window to the formative stages of the planet. And what the scientists have done is they are decoding the chemical clues, teasing out the environment, and foster the earliest glimmer of life. These zircons, over the times, have changed their chemical ratios, and this change shows the development of life. 4.5 billion years back, according to the zircon study, shows that the whole life and the whole world has changed. And that's why that old time, 4.5 billion years back, is called the Hadean era. It is after the Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. So as it was a hellscape, at that time, the earth was red hot. It was a real living hell. And it was under constant assault by meteors. There were volcanoes, gurgling lava all over, and these zircons were formed. And as the lavian activity, the volcanic activity changed, subsided, the new zircons had a different chemicals. And these zircon crystals have survived intense temperature and intense pressure. It's a recycling process. And it has also been seen that the zircon oxygen isotopes reveal that the liquid water covered our planet 4.3 billion years back. So 4.4 billion years back, it was all volcano. 4.3 billion back, it was volcanoes and water overtaking the volcanoes. And the hints of the early life started in 4.1 billion years back. So these new developments in the study of zircon shed a new light on how the earth evolved and how the life came into being. Quite interesting. So these developments, whether the early lives, early time, the origin of life, origin of the earth, or the Medicare changes, are quite an advance and quite a step ahead in our approaching the frontiers of knowledge, which would never be crossed. How do you like these new developments, these new nuggets of information? I'm sure you do. Thank you.